Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here, and this is going to be my response to Dylan Noble Records' 7,000 subs contest. Actually, I'm going to do a couple responses today because there's been about two or three people I've been meaning to get back to in terms of doing a response to their contest and finally have a morning and afternoon with nothing going on. So I'm going to sit down and do all those responses right now. So if you see like 3 or 4 videos with me wearing the same stuff, don't think like my channel's messing up or stuttering or something. But I'm going to start off here with Dylan. I'm sure a lot of you guys know him in the VC, but at this point, I mean, he has like 7,000 subscribers and, you know, awesome collection. Of course, knows a ton about music, and with him recently opening his record store and just kind of has this knack for just finding amazing collections all over the place all the time, it seems. So yeah, definitely want to jump on board and kind of do a response and pay tribute to your channel, man. So let's just kind of jump right into it, and I'm just kind of looking over here at the questions. Question number one was what was some of your best finds, and not necessarily value, but just kind of memorable and all that kind of stuff. So there were three that kind of came to mind. I'll start with this one here, which is Lenny by Lenny Kravitz. Great album, songs like Dig In and I Could Fall in Love, a few other things that are kind of cool. Kind of has a little bit of some areas, kind of a psychedelic vibe in some areas, and just, kind of the rocky thing that Lenny always did. But anyway, the thing that made this one so memorable was there was a website that I'd ordered one or two things from before. Actually, no, at the time I'd only ordered one thing, and it was a Seal 4, which I thought was an album. And it got sent to me or whatever, and it showed up, and I was so pumped because I'd always wanted this Seal album on vinyl, and come to find out it was a CD. It was in a vinyl or a 12 by 12 type of sleeve, but it was a CD. There was a big paper record and a CD stuck in the middle of it. And the seller, it was an honest mistake. He thought it was a vinyl record, just not paying attention, and so I was really disappointed. And then I saw this pop up on the same website, and I was like, whoa, and this is, early 2000s. And so I'm thinking, oh my God, if that's a record, I want it, but is this just another one of those things like that Seal album? So I went ahead and ordered it because it wasn't too expensive considering. And I just remember how almost kind of stressed I was over the couple of weeks it took to get there, because I'm just thinking another CD is gonna pop up. So it arrived, and when I opened it up, I was like, well, it's kind of heavy, and opened it up real quick, and it was, the fact that it was vinyl, I was just so freaking excited, especially at that time, because this was my favorite Lenny album, and I had no idea it had been pressed on vinyl. So just going through that little 2-week process of not even knowing if you got what you ordered just made it 1,000 times more exciting when I actually opened it up, and it was exactly what I thought it was. So, excuse me, that's definitely one I remember as being a very exciting find. Let's see, I got two more here for that. This other one here too, which is Danzig. As you can see, that's a gold stamp promo copy in fantastic condition there, which is kind of what made it exciting when I found it, because I was just telling somebody this story recently. Maybe it was Billy. Maybe it was Billy Hurst, I think. But yeah, one of the record stores that I go to down here, it's kind of somewhat of a longer. It's much longer than it is wider. Let's just put it that way. And definitely a decent sized store. And on the back walls, they'll put up some kind of the nicer things they've gotten in. And so I remember walking into the store, and as soon as I came in the door, I saw this all the way off in the distance, because obviously that's a cover you can recognize from quite some distance. And I just remember so distinctly the thought and the fear I had that from the time I saw it to walking to the back and actually grabbing it off the shelf, that someone was going to snatch it. And it was like that 7 to 10 second walk literally took, or felt like it took, 30 minutes to get back there and grabbing it. And so I remember that this strange sense of excitement just by getting my hands on it and pulling it off the shelf before I even looked to see what the condition was, which ended up being kind of near mint. So that was fantastic. But yeah, just the journey across the store to grab this, I just remember how freaking exciting and pumped up I was about that. And the last one here, I'm in this shop out in DC. Actually, I was traveling out there for work. And it's amazing how you can sometimes just look at records from years and years ago and remember exactly where you got them from. But I was out in this little shop and just kind of, looking around, and wasn't a lot of things weren't popping up, and just out of the blue, this little masterpiece pops up. And I guess I was so excited because number one, I didn't know it had been pressed on vinyl in the first place. And this is definitely one of my favorite 80s comedies. And I don't know how many of you have seen this before. It's called Rhinestone, obviously, with Dolly Parton and Sylvester Stallone. This movie is so freaking funny. I mean, you know so much stuff behind Sylvester Stallone, and obviously he was an action movie kind of guy, but he had me cracking up in this movie, and I never get tired of watching it. It's funny every single time. But yeah, I just had no idea that this had been pressed on vinyl. So when I saw it, it was just like I grabbed it and I was sitting there just like looking at it, and I was, just kind of chuckling and laughing because it was making me think about the movie when I was looking at the songs on there. And I'm sure some people were just like, what's going on with that dude? Because I couldn't stop laughing about, I can't wait to get home to listen to this because of all the stupid stuff that's on this album. And probably my favorite, if you haven't heard this before, would be The Day My Baby Died by, by Rusty. It's so freaking funny. But again, if you haven't seen that movie before and you like 80s comedies, you definitely have to check this out. But yeah, so that was a really, really good find. I think I got that for like $3 or $4 or something like that, but I'd never been so happy to find a record. So those are kind of the three of the best finds that kind of came to mind when I read that question. The second one was best song ever written, which, yeah, I mean, that's of course extremely difficult, but because I mean, obviously there's so many things, but I'm gonna kind of narrow it down to two songs, I think, and even then it irks me to feel like everything I'm leaving out. But as an honorable mention, I'm gonna say the song "My Girl" by The Temptations. I think it has to be on that list as one of the best songs ever written. And I think that's an important one to kind of touch base on too, because with My Girl, it's so like everyone's heard it a million times. It's just, part of the most cliche part of Motown and all of that. And even now, I mean, it's not a song that I ever go listen to intentionally. If it pops up here or there, maybe I'll listen to it, but it's not something I ever gravitate towards. But when I look at just kind of what's in there, what it was, just all the different elements that come together in it, it's really hard to figure out how to make a better song. I mean, especially if you ever listen to it broken into pieces. And I'm getting kind of long-winded here, but I'm here to talk about music, so. But like if you listen to just the vocals of The Temptations, I mean, if it's just done a cappella, I mean, it's beautiful enough just in that sense. Amazing, you have David Ruffin on lead, one of the best soul singers of all time, and then you have the amazing harmony of, The Temptations with Paul Williams and all of them. I mean, just phenomenal. But then you add on, what's his name? Oh, Robert White. Yeah, Robert White from the Funk Brothers. He's the one that came up with the guitar riff, if you will. And it's always funny because you listen to Smokey tell the story about how he did it. It was a total fluke. They were just working on the song, and he's just like walking around the studio. They're not recording, they're not doing anything, and he's listening to the melody that Smokey put together, and he just starts playing that guitar riff. And he thought it was kind of a joke. He thought it was silly, and they were like, hell no, that's going on the album. So again, when you really get to it, the guitar riff from My Girl has to be one of the most well-known, incredible guitar riffs of all time. When you really get down to it, it's not rock, but it's one of the most legendary, well-known riffs. And I think on top of that, when you have all that amazing stuff, the writing of Smokey, the singing of The Temptations, that guitar riff by White, and then you go into the amazing string component that Paul Reisner put into it at the end. because he was working at Motown, but he had a very strong classical training. So those beautiful strings and horns at the end, when you really dissect that song and listen to those individual pieces, it's a beautiful freaking piece of music. So that's my rambling about the honorable mention. But that definitely has to go on the list. But to me, I've kind of always said the best song of all time is A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke. And I'm saying that with that's not even my favorite Sam Cooke song. Bring It On Home, with Sam Cooke and Lou Rawls, that's my favorite Sam Cooke song. But yeah, I mean, A Change Is Gonna Come, again, it's just try to find a way that song is not perfection. From just the heartfelt delivery of Sam Cooke, again, the different beautiful string elements that come into it, the R&B and gospel that's so well in tuned. And let's not even get into, the messaging piece of it and the power of that. I just don't think there's been a better song ever written. So that would have to be my pick for best song. And if I remember correctly, Dylan, I haven't watched your video for probably like a week or two now, but I think you picked, I think it was Elephant. Yeah, I think it was Elephant by Jason Eyes, I like to call him. And yeah, I mean that's also one that, I mean, God, there's a couple different things on that album that is just so freaking powerful, and that song could easily make a lot of lists. I think Relatively Easy is also one that is pretty much darn perfect, but let me stop rambling, because I'll end up picking 100 different songs that are the best songs of all time. But yeah, let's move right along. Question number 3: how do you keep track of your collection? I've kind of mentioned that in a couple recent videos, because I'm kind of doing something a little different right now. Basically, at this point in time, what I'm doing is I have an Excel spreadsheet. I'm also putting everything in the Discogs, and then I'm also putting, let me grab one here. Well, I'm just going to show for my next one, so let me pull this here. And I'm also putting these little stickers on the back of every album right now. So at this point in time, what I'm doing is I'm putting, I go put the album in the Discogs, and then while I'm doing that, I go into my Excel spreadsheet, which in my Excel spreadsheet, I wasn't keeping track of pressings and all of that. So I'm putting all the pressing information and everything into my Excel spreadsheet. And then on the back of each album, I'm also putting a little sticker that just basically has the year of the album, condition of the cover, or vinyl, condition of the cover, the pressing, to 2001 European press on this, and then the value of the record as well. So I actually have a pretty good detail, if you will, in kind of 3 different places. And my thought process behind that is, because I was just doing the Excel spreadsheet, but my thought process now is, let's say if something happens to me and my mother is going to be the one to inherit my collection at this point in time, well, she can do a couple different things. Everything is already listed in Discogs, so she can go in and just sell on Discogs. There's a couple of stores here, mainly one here in the St. Louis area called Music Record Shop, who actually does consignment sales, where they'll take entire collections and sell them in their store, and they just take like a small, percent or whatever. And so they do it, and one of the things they usually charge for is, or I shouldn't say charge, but what their fee is based around, which is only like 10% or something like that. It's not a lot at all. But they actually go into Discogs and look up and, mark each record. Well, now how easy is that if my mother can take the entire collection there and say, hey, it's already marked, it's already in Discogs, here's the password, go do it. So I like that. I also like the fact that if they wanted to sell some at a record show, well, each album's already marked, ready to go. You don't have to worry about databases. What if Discogs starts charging, or what if Discogs goes out of business, or whatever you want to say? Well, I have all the Discogs information in my Excel spreadsheet. So I'm kind of in like a cover my bases kind of mode. And maybe a little extreme for most people, but I just kind of like it. So that's how I'm keeping track of my collection right now. What is the next question? The one record you never sell. And that was pretty easy too. Had to take it off the wall to show it to you, actually. which is this baby right here. Godsmack's self-titled album, actually signed by Sully Erma. And I mean, of course, the reason I wouldn't sell this is number one, it's one of the rarest records in my collection. I don't know how many they pressed, but it wasn't very many. I hate the fact it's a picture disc, but still. You know, so these just even by themselves without, you know, without being signed are going for $250, $300 or so. But when you can have a record that rare that's also by your favorite group, you know, that adds a ton of meaning to it. And then signed by the lead singer, I mean, like, come on, what more could you ask for in term from a record collection perspective? You know, favorite band, their most rare record, and you have it signed by the lead singer. Awesome stuff. Which I actually got it signed by him back in 2012 when I had a chance to meet him. So that's definitely the one that, you know, you just could not put a price on. If you came in and offered me double what it's worth, I still wouldn't sell it. Matter of fact, triple what it's worth. I know for a fact I would not sell it. So that has to be my never sell. Question number 5: favorite music or record related documentary. And gosh, there's so many of those too, as you guys well know. But I think the one I'll have to go because of the Tower Records one, which Dylan, was that the one that you mentioned? But I did see that was a fantastic one. If I Leave Here Tomorrow with Leonard Skinner was a fantastic one. But I think the I would probably say the best one would be Hitsville, The Making of Motown. I have to pick that one as the best documentary I've ever seen. Just going through Motown from beginning to end, and Smokey Robinson and Berry Gordy were narrating the whole thing, and they had, you know, interviews with other people, but like they were the two telling the stories, which of course no one knows more precisely exactly what was happening there than them, and it was just a mind-blowing documentary. So yeah, I guess that's the one I have to go with. Favorite record you received as a gift. I received this for Christmas one time when it first came out, which is Dido Life for Rent. And I mean, that's a fantastic one now because this one is very rare and very hard to find. And I mean, you had to think about getting this as a gift, and you know, cost a few bills to find a nice mint copy of that on Classic Records pressing. So that's definitely the best record I've ever gotten as a gift. And last but not least, what's your listening ritual? I really don't have a ritual, so to speak. It's just kind of whenever I throw it on, whatever I'm doing. You know, sometimes I'll, you know, sit down and actually, you know, focus on just listening to music. A lot of times when I'm doing stuff on the computer, such as putting all this stuff in the Discogs, I'll have stuff playing in the background. But yeah, I really don't have a ritual, if you will. Oddly enough, as much as I love vinyl and, you know, all the stuff you've seen on my channel, one of my favorite things to do, I guess if you want to call it a ritual, is I like doing road trips. You know, just taking like a day or so to go somewhere, whatever, kind of being on the road for a few hours. Maybe going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is like 7 hours away from me or something like that. And to just get on the road, like, you know, maybe just in the car by myself, have that iPod hooked up and just jam out for 3 or 4 hours, honestly might be my favorite place to listen to music and my favorite way to listen to music. And again, with, you know, with the vinyl and all that, that probably wouldn't be the first thing most people would think. But man, we just get on the road and just start jamming and, you know, just skipping around at different songs and just, you know, it's just you on the road and just whatever you're choosing to listen to. Like, I really do enjoy that. And so I don't know if you call that a ritual or not. But I think it'll also be a little different too when I move here in a couple of months. Which, yeah, new news. I'm gonna be moving in probably in April. Whew. But it's gonna give me the ability to be able to play my music a lot louder as well, because I'm in a condo right now, and I'll be moving to a fairly big house. So I have like a lot of room to really kind of spread out and just jam and blast things. So we'll see if that kind of changes my rituals as well. But yes, I think that's all 7 questions. So yeah, again, Dylan, man, congratulations on the 7,000 subs. Glad I got a chance to kind of jump on board. As always, VC, let me know what you think, and we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, guys.